You thought this was going to be a normal intro? You're wrong. Pop quiz. What do all of these killers have in common? Springtrap, the Unknown, Xenomorph, Dracula, Vecna. If you said they were all projectile-based killers with some sort of movement ability, well, you guessed correctly. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with having similar killers, but it can definitely make survivor matches feel a bit samey. I mean, Jesus Christ, they even turned Freddy into a projectile-based killer with a teleport. Right, to be fair, there's a finite amount of abilities you can make into killer powers, but I mean, surely we've not exhausted every single option to the point where everyone has to be either a dash killer, or again, a projectile-based killer with some sort of movement ability. Look at the new patch notes. They made Michael Myers a dash killer. When have you ever seen Michael Myers run? That doesn't count. I mean, it's got to the point where Chucky, Myers, and the pig basically have no difference between them at all, apart from maybe a couple gimmicks. But you know what? Is it even Dead by Daylight's fault? Take a look at the previous releases where the killers have not been either projectile or dash based. They've been receiving lots of hate for partly justified reason. Both the Houndmaster and Skull Merchant were released in some of the worst states in Dead by Daylight history. I mean, the Skull Merchant release is just infamously bad. And they haven't really been doing much to, make her good. So, one could argue, whenever Dead by Daylight tried to switch things around with killer powers, it doesn't end out too well like it did with Skull Merchant. So more often than not, they're just gonna stick to what they know, which is dash killers, projectile killers, whatever. And, dash killers tend to be pretty strong. Kaneki was a very busted killer when he first came out. Now he's been nerfed quite significantly. Wesker, very strong killer. But I don't need my killers to be strong. Aww. Two of my most played killers are Trapper and Wraith. Both killers, debatably, with very weak powers, but I love playing them. I'd much rather play against a killer as a survivor. I'd much rather play against a killer who has a weaker power, but the user knows how to use his power, than play against a mediocre Blight or a mediocre Nurse. It's much more enjoyable to see these, less utilized killers be utilized in a very interesting and different way. Playing against a good Trapper player, in my opinion, will always be much more enjoyable than playing against a good Blight player. Good Blight players are not hard to come across. Good Trappers are much more impressive. Now there is a new Dead by Daylight killer coming to the game, coming to the PTB tomorrow. I don't know exactly what the power is, but it looks to be some sort of grab attack with an infection and a movement ability. And I wonder where we've seen this before. Now, I'm not complaining, I could be wrong, it could be the best killer to be added to the game in a long time, but my concern is we get a killer a bit like the Twins, who is based on slugging or switching between two characters, and the biggest issue might be that a slugging killer is going to be coming out with a slugging nerf. But you know what, I've been picking on dash killers and projectile killers this entire video. Why don't I pick on someone else, like killers with numerous abilities? There are definitely a few examples of well-designed killers with numerous powers, like Vecna. There's also a couple examples of killers with multiple powers who maybe aren't so good, like Dracula. I mean, when Dracula first came out, I just got so sick of playing against him. That Castlevania DLC chapter came out, a couple months ago? Start of this year? What? Boy oh boy do I have a bone to pick with Dracula. This guy is just Pyramid Head, Spirit, and Demogorgon combined into one sloppy killer. He is the killer for people who don't know how to choose in life. Pick a side! You either play Demogorgon, Pyramid Head, or Spirit. Just pick one. You don't need to play this sloppy killer. Anyway, let's talk about Vecna, I guess. jokes aside, I think Vecna is one of the best designed killers we've seen in this game yet. He has 4 distinct abilities, they don't repeat other killer abilities, they each have their own counterplay, and they each feel tough but fair to go against. The projectile is very easy to avoid, but when used correctly, can get insane hits. The hand can end chases incredibly quickly if you know how to use it, but if you mistime it, it can kind of screw up a chase. The fly ability is good to destroy distance between you and the survivor, but also the survivor use this fly. The survivor can use this fly you're locked into to create even more distance for themselves. The sphere is just to start chases, and I don't think it's very good without different add-ons. But I think Vecna is a brilliantly designed killer. Now, you might be watching this video and you might be thinking, wow, this guy complains a lot. It's just your opinion. Who cares? Well, I did a survey. I held a survey on my Discord. I said, are you guys tired of repetitive killer powers? And 6 out of 7 people. 6 out of 7 people responded with yes, I am tired of repetitive killer abilities. Now, you might say, okay, well that's only 6 people who agree with you. Well, I went and asked a couple of my friends who play Dead by Daylight, are you tired of repetitive killer abilities? And they said, yeah, pretty much. And you might say, well that's just 2 extra people, so that's 8 people who agree with you. Well, I then held a Q&A on my TikTok, and a handful more people said, well yes, I agree with you, me, I'm tired of repetitive killer abilities. And then you might say, okay, well that's great, but who cares what people think? So I went and asked ChatGPT, what do you think of repetitive killer designs? I think I'm getting my point across. Anyway, I think that's all I have time for today. Thanks for watching, sticking till the end. Let me know what you think on projectile killers, repetitive killers, whatever. Subscribe, like, tell your family about me, tell your grandmother about me. Thanks for watching. Oh boys and girls, there's more. So, the new killer has been released to the PTB, and you'll never guess what this killer's power is. It's a dash killer with a projectile. It's a dash killer with a projectile. It's a dash killer with a projectile. Are we serious? It's a dash killer with a projectile. 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 It's a dash killer with a projectile.